Hello.
Welcome to the Museum of the Horns of the South, the southernmost keep under Camelot's jurisdiction. My name is Rhydderic, and I will be happy to introduce you to the rich history of this fascinating place. A history that began 623 years ago with the first keeper, Sewell Firstfoot. I'd also like to bring your attention to our numerous exhibits that are, as I like to say, inanimate witnesses of the history of the Horns of the South. It began in the year 542. It is the crowning achievement of a group of keepers who were fascinated with Sewell Firstfoot. It took them years of tremendous effort to finally open an institution devoted to research and education, worthy of commemorating Sewell's great legacy. The first keeper of the museum was Gladwin Flanagan, who was personally appointed by Captain Berach the Black. I don't doubt it, since Sewell Firstfoot was a remarkable figure, well known to every keeper. Drawing on available sources, we can claim with almost absolute certainty that Sewell Firstfoot was the first man who ever set foot on the island of Avalon. As you can probably guess, that's where his moniker, Firstfoot, comes from. Oh, of course! Sewell was an outstanding commander whose strategic mind, bravery, and charisma contributed to our capture of the South from the Four Dwellers. He was also the founder of the Horns of the South, so I can say with absolute conviction that if it were not for Sewell Firstfoot, we wouldn't even be standing here having this conversation. The museum holds a collection of 72 items of the so-called movable, tangible heritage. The collection includes big and small items that represent the world surrounding the keepers of the Horns of the South from the 1st to the 6th century of the Avalonian era. Here you will find militaria, craft tools, everyday objects, furniture, textiles, coins, religious artifacts. I'd say all exhibits are worthy of your attention, but I could point you to the ones I personally think to be the most notable, or subjectively, of course, the most interesting. Those would be the items that used to belong to Sewell Firstfoot. We have his signal horn, and also his boots. Those boots were the first to touch Avalonian soil. What is also worth mentioning is the tableware used by King Arthur himself during his visit to the Horns of the South in the 15th year of the Avalonian era. Yes, remarkable, isn't it? You can find them in the central display. Sewell's boots were sewn from 3 pieces of tanned calfskin, tied at the top with a leather strap. The seam goes through the middle of the instep, which is decorated with ornamental embroidery. On the outer side of each shoe, you can find a decorative brass buckle with the motif of the Camelotian bear. It is notable that even after 600 years, they are still excellently preserved, which is unusual considering the high humidity in this area. It means that even the keepers of that time must have realized the historical value of Sewell's boots, and therefore made sure to adequately preserve them. It is indeed an interesting exhibit. The horn was used by Sewell during wartime, not only for signaling, but also for intimidation. It is 50 centimeters long and made of the horn of an ox. It is the color of yellowed bone, with some ash-gray discoloration on the narrow end. It has a brass mouthpiece and silver fittings on its wider side and at the middle. The shape of the fittings suggests that the horn was hanging on a leather strap, which unfortunately has not survived to this day. It's a memento of the visit of the legendary ruler of Avalon. Impressive, isn't it? The tableware is made of tin coated with silver. It consists of a plate, a bowl, and a chalice. The edges are decorated with the motifs of Camelot, a crown and a bear. However, those ornaments are of visibly low quality. That detail, and the fact that those are the only wares from that time that have survived to this day, leads us to conclude that this set was cast specifically for that occasion, and that it was finished by a person unfamiliar with this kind of craft, perhaps a blacksmith or an armorer. Really? Do you mean it? Thank you. That's really nice to hear. I'm not used to positive feedback. Usually people only come here when they've had too much to drink and decided that it'd be fun to come over and start mocking me, or touching the exhibits with their greasy fingers. The last person who seemed to actually be interested in the museum was Lady Elaine. We talked a bit about Captain Lex and the trip that ended tragically in the year 513. It was described in The Last Voyage of the Andraste. An interesting read, although I'd say it should be classified as fiction. Lady Elaine thought differently. Apparently she's looking for the wreck of the Andraste. Can you believe that? Oh, that's excellent. I have a lot of respect for that kind of archaeological endeavor, even when it's based on incorrect assumptions with regard to the subject of the research. But if you happen upon any interesting objects during your search, please don't forget about the museum. I have to admit that local fauna is not one of my main areas of interest, but I do know the answer to this question, as it is rooted in the history of the Horns of the South. It used to be the case that a significant part of the daily catch was gobbled up by our troublesome coastal neighbors. So the keepers of that time found a very peculiar way to deal with the problem. Some of them, called the seagullers, scared off the coastal birds using specially constructed masks. They made them from feathers and pieces of tanned pigskin sewn together. The reason the gulls avoided these masks is unclear, but perhaps their peculiar shape reminded them of a natural predator? Do you mean the document with information about the course, weather, position, and speed of the ship, as well as all of the stops and other occurrences kept by the captain or the first mate? More specifically, the document from the bridge of the Andraste, which sank tragically in nearby waters in the year 513. Indeed, we have it. Please wait here. Here it is, though I doubt those records will tell you anything, since the weirdness surrounding Avalon made sailing impossible. The knowledge of the precepts of navigation has been forgotten. Oh, no, we know that. You should have mentioned that you're looking for the wreck of the Andraste rather than the logbook. Every keeper knows that the Andraste was swallowed by the ocean. It's near what's currently known as Smuggler's Bay. Here, I'll mark it on your map.